So hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Patton with the city's Disabilities Commission. You will all have just received a recording notice because we are recording this webinar to be put on the City of Boston Disabilities Commission YouTube page. So welcome to those of you who are live. Welcome to those of you watching later. We will dive on in. Why are we all here today? Well, we're here to talk about financial empowerment for people with disabilities. It is what we're calling an NDEAM webinar. Well, what is NDEAM? That is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It is a national celebration here in the US that happens every October. And part of our way to celebrate is our Wednesday webinar series. So you all are here for our Financial Empowerment for People with Disabilities webinar, the second of 4. And I'm really excited about the presenters that we have here tonight to talk to you about resources here in the city of Boston and beyond to help you take your next steps in your financial journey and achieve all of the goals that you have for financial wellness. So those resources, those presenters, I'll have them introduce themselves, but the first is a City of Boston department, the Center for Working Families, and the other is the state's Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. So before I do my final slide on my commission, can I ask Rachel and then Adam to introduce yourselves real quick before we dive in?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Rodri, and I am the Bank on Boston Program Manager working at the Center for Working Families, which is the City of Boston's free financial opportunity center. And I'm really excited to tell you about some of our resources today.
And Adam?
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Hartwell. I'm the Director of Attainable Outreach for the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. Attainable is the Massachusetts version of the ABLE program, the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act that was passed in 2014. And that will be the large portion of what I get to speak about today.
Thank you, Adam. Before I kick it over to you all, just a little more background on our office, the Disabilities Commission. Our mission is to increase opportunities for people with disabilities by facilitating full and equal participation in all aspects of life within the City of Boston. This includes reducing architectural, procedural, attitudinal, and communication barriers, as well as promoting equity in housing, education, employment, transportation, and civic activities. And that's really part of what we're doing here today, is making sure that we are reducing barriers to full participation in economic life and participation in all of the resources that Rachel and Adam are going to tell you about. We also provide information and referral. So if you do have other questions separate from this webinar, you can always contact our office to ask us where you can find that resource if it's not one that you already know about. Our contact information is on the screen. We can be reached by email, disability@boston.gov, by voice phone call, 617-635-3682. You can find us in City Hall, Boston City Hall in room 967. And you can visit our website, boston.gov/disability. Before I turn it over to Rachel, our first presenter, 2 quick notes of logistics. If you have a question, we ask that you use the raise hand function in Zoom or note in the chat that you have a question. If you'd like to voice your question, we can then send you a request to unmute yourself so that you can ask. Or if you prefer to ask your question in American Sign Language, we can pin you on the page so folks can see and the interpreter can voice your question. For the first part of our presentation, for Rachel's, we will take questions live, so please feel free to raise your hand or put in the chat at any time. For Adam's presentation, we'll take questions at the end and he'll explain a little bit of why, but we're really excited to dive in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel.
Sorry, it was on mute. Thank you so much, Andrea. And And hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today sharing with you. Like I said, my name is Rachel, and I work for the Center for Working Families, which is an agency of the City of Boston. And our goal is to help provide free financial empowerment resources to anyone living in the City of Boston. And today I'm here to talk to you about 3 of the resources that we provide that are really applicable to individuals with disabilities who are working and earning income. So let's dive right into it. So the primary service that we offer at the Center for Working Families is free individual financial coaching. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It gives anyone who lives in the city of Boston the opportunity to meet individually with one of our 4 financial coaches to help reach their personal financial goals and build their assets and overall improve their economic situation. You can meet with a coach virtually or in person at our center in Roxbury. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get in contact with your coach. We do have 4 full-time coaches. One is bilingual in Spanish and one is bilingual in Haitian Creole. So we definitely can cover a lot of space there. We also have a full-time outreach coordinator who's really helpful in connecting potential clients with services at the center that could benefit them. So how coaching works is a coaching client will meet with their personal coach individually about once a month for the first 4 months of their coaching experience. And then after that, they can meet with their coach as frequently as needed. And the coaches really tailor the service to the individual. So that means that they can help you with really whatever you're looking for, whether that's financial education in the form of building a budget, learning more about saving or building credit, or paying off debt, or even getting ready to buy your first home. We can also help coach with employment assistance. So that means that we can help create your resume or make your resume better. We can help you with interview skills and doing mock interviews. We can also give you assistance in applying for jobs and hopefully finding a job as well. Additionally, we can do income support where we help you evaluate your income and prioritize the certain budget items that we definitely need to. And we can also help connect you to resources that might be available for individuals who have a lot of debt or other negative financial aspects that are holding them back. Additionally, we can connect you to other city resources or other community-based resources that might be able to help you in whatever way you need. So, why financial coaching and why credit building? There's so many different reasons why it is useful to engage with financial education. First, it just increases your financial well-being, whatever your situation is. Talking with a professional financial coach can help improve it. Everyone can help improve their money management skills by working with a professional. There's a lot of room to build better budgets and to access new resources that you might not know about. Of course, like I mentioned on the last slide, working with a professional coach can really help you when you're trying to make those big economic moves like buying a home or saving for a purchase. Additionally, we want to make sure that everyone is building wealth and increasing savings as much as possible. Adam is going to get a lot more into savings later, so there's plenty of room to save for this community. Additionally, having an increased credit score can help you pretty much in every aspect of your life. As you know, if you need to get a loan or a lease or make a big purchase, the higher your credit score is, the easier that will be for you. And actually, our coaching clients, on average, after 12 months of coaching, raise their credit scores by 30 points. So that's a really significant increase in credit score, and that can be the difference between having to have a cosigner for your lease and not having to have a cosigner for your lease. So just by participating in a free service virtually a few times in a year, you could raise your credit score by a significant amount. So there's a lot of different reasons why you should engage with financial coaching. But ultimately, the biggest reason is if you feel like you need some support managing your finance, you should just know that there are professionals in the city of Boston who are willing and able to help you for totally free. So in a couple slides, I'll give you information on how to access access free financial coaching. But first, I want to talk about another offering through the Center for Working Families, and that is free tax preparation with the Boston Tax Help Coalition. So the Boston Tax Help Coalition has 30 free community tax sites around the city of Boston. One of them is at the Center for Working Families, but we probably have a tax site in your neighborhood. If you live anywhere in Boston, there's going to be a tax site close by. I do want to mention that free tax services are income restricted, but the eligibility is a little bit confusing. So what we like to say is if you're filing a simple tax return or you're just filing the regular W-2 or W-4, we can definitely help you out with that. So what we offer at the Boston Tax Help Coalition is 100% free state and federal tax return filing. It's guaranteed accurate filing, so we guarantee that you won't have any trouble with the IRS or DOR once you file. We guarantee that you'll get the largest refund possible because we'll go the extra mile to make sure that we apply for all of the different credits that you could be eligible for. Additionally, like I mentioned, we do make sure that you get all of those credits, like the earned income credit and the child tax credit. It's really important for everyone to understand that even if you didn't work and earn income in a tax year, you should still file your taxes because you still might be eligible for the earned income credit and child tax credit. And at the Boston Tax Help Coalition, we are really, really willing to help you do that. Additionally, we can help you with prior year returns. So it happens to all of us, or you slip for a year or two on filing your taxes. We can help you file those and make sure everything is right with the IRS. And like I mentioned, we do operate out of 30 locations in Boston. So we've probably got a location just down the street from you. And the Center for Working Families in Roxbury is one of those locations. So if you're interested in accessing free tax services, you can go to boston.gov/taxhelp and you can find out about all of our different tax sites. Additionally, throughout the regular tax season, so that's February, March, April, we do have special offerings for individuals with disabilities. So we do special tax days for individuals who are blind or low vision and individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. And that information is all available on our website, which is boston.gov/taxhelp. Okay. So there are a lot of services that we offer at the Center for Working Families, and taxes and financial coaching are just a few of them. So you can see up here a big list of all of our different service offerings: working with a financial coach, building your budget, connecting to safe financial resources across the city, of course, those resume, cover letter, job seeking skills. We also offer a bunch of virtual workshops on different topics like avoiding scams and ID theft, home buyer readiness, and building credit. And additionally, we do have a couple different job training programs that we can help connect residents to. So if you are interested in accessing any of these completely free services through the city of Boston, you can visit our website at boston.gov/financial coaching, or you can scan the QR code that is on this screen. So additionally, if you're a little tech adverse like I am, you can just give us a call or an email. Antonia Benson is the outreach coordinator at our center. And she is available by call or email at any time. So you can reach out to her to schedule a financial coaching appointment or just to find out more about our resources or tax services. Awesome. So now I'm going to pivot and spend a little bit of time talking about my program, which is called Bank on Boston. So Bank on Boston is another City of Boston program that seeks to connect residents with affordable, reliable, and free financial products and services. Bank on Boston aims to help residents gain confidence to save, grow, and access their money in a safe way. And today we're going to talk just a little bit about safe banking, and then I'm going to give you information on connecting to a free or low cost checking account product so that you can make the most of your money. Awesome. So Bank on Boston is actually part of a national coalition of bank on movements, and our goal is to help customers identify accounts that we consider good transaction accounts. And what does that mean? So we have a whole big long list of different features that a bank account can have that make it a good account. So that list you can see up here. Overwhelmingly, it has to do with fees. So we know that no resident, especially a resident who is just earning a regular wage, should have to pay big fees on their bank account. So we want to make sure that everyone has access to a bank account that has no overdraft fees, no non-sufficient fund fees, either a low or no monthly maintenance fees. Once again, low or no ATM fees. We need to make sure that whenever anyone opens an account, they have access to online banking or a good mobile banking app so that they can see their account information when they need to. It is absolutely imperative that a good checking account is insured by a major insurance agency like the FDIC or NCUA. We also want to make sure that accounts are able to receive direct deposit so that we can cut those paper checks out. Additionally, it's very important that banks have 24/7 customer support and a branch that's accessible in your neighborhood. So that's a lot of different features for an account to have to be considered a good transaction account. And what we do at Bank on Boston is take that guesswork out for you. I'm sure that you know that whenever you read documents from a bank, they can be kind of full of jargon and confusing to understand. So we've done the work of reading through all that jargon, and we have found all of the accounts in the Boston area that meet these different criteria, and we have them listed on our website with information on how to open them. So that website is boston.gov/bankon. So to give a little bit more information on why you should use a bank or credit union account as opposed to using just cash or maybe a financial tech product like Venmo or Cash App. There's a lot of different reasons why it's important to use a more mainstream banking product. Foremost is security. When you use a mainstream banking product from a bank like Bank of America or Citizens Bank or Metro Credit Union, you know that your deposits are insured by a major insurance agency like the FDIC or NCUA. And that means that up to $250,000 worth of your deposits in that bank are guaranteed to you, even if that bank fails. So that's really, really important. You don't ever want to store your money somewhere where you could lose it. So that's a really important feature of most bank and credit union accounts. Safety is another big reason. Obviously, if you're storing your money in the bank, you're safe from theft, loss, fires, as opposed to storing just cash in your house. Convenience, obviously, you can easily pay bills these days. If you have an online account, it makes it really easy to pay for those bigger bills, also to receive and resend money. Of course, savings, it helps protect you during a financial emergency. When you save your money in a bank or an account, it accrues interest. And once again, Adam's going to hit on that later. And then, of course, for your financial future, you want to be able to access your money when you need it. You want to be able to access professionals when you need their opinion. And you want to earn interest on the money that you're working hard to save. So there's a lot of reasons why using a bank or credit union account is definitely a better way to store your money than just storing it in cash. So just a quick reminder of what those different kinds of fees are, because they can be a little bit confusing and similar to one another. An overdraft fee, that one is super straightforward. That one is when you spend more money than you have in your account and you're charged a fee because you go below your account balance. So that one, if you have $100 in your account and you spend $105, you've overdrafted your account by $5. And some banks will charge you a fee for doing that. Sometimes that fee is up to $35. And sometimes banks compound overdraft fees, meaning that they'll charge you $35 for every day that your account is in overdraft. So you might have started by just spending a few dollars more than you had, but within a few days, you could owe a couple $100s to the bank because of overdrafting. There's no laws in the US that require banks to charge overdraft fees. So really, it's just a greedy thing that financial institutions do. And there's a lot of accounts that don't have overdraft fees. So you should be in one of those accounts. A non-sufficient funds fee is very similar. The big difference between an NSF fee and an overdraft fee is that often an NSF fee occurs when you try and make more money and when you try and spend more money than you have in your account and the transaction is declined. So that money never even left your account, but you're still being charged a fee for it. And that's pretty crazy, right? Like you didn't actually do anything wrong and the bank is still charging you for it. Maintenance fees are a little bit more reasonable sometimes. That's just a fee that your bank or credit union might charge you for maintaining an account with them. Sometimes it's really reasonable, like $5 a year, but sometimes banks or credit unions want to charge you upwards of $20 a month to maintain your account with them, and that's just crazy. So make sure, I would encourage you to open your bank app and check out to see if you've been charged a maintenance fee within the last month. And if you have, call your bank and see what they can do about that, because that's your money and they should not be taking it just for you operating a small checking account with them. Finally, ATM fees. Sometimes these are unavoidable, but once again, they do compound. So sometimes banks will charge you for using an ATM that's out of their network. And sometimes your bank will also charge you for using that ATM. So you can be charged by the ATM and you can get charged by your bank. So just keep an eye on those ATM fees. And remember, you can avoid them by getting cash back at a grocery store. Okay, oops, sorry, go in the wrong direction. So I just have a little graph here that shows how it is actually cheaper to get paid using a normal checking or savings account than it is to use a check cashing service, a service like Cash App or Venmo, or a prepaid card. Obviously, check cashing services really add up because they do charge you 1% of your check with every transaction. That can total hundreds, if not thousands of dollars throughout the year, depending on how frequently you're using that service. I think it's really important to mention that with Cash App and Venmo, even though they are extremely convenient and a lot of us do use them to send money, they have really high transaction fees. Sometimes up to 3% of the total transaction can be lost in fees, which can once again total hundreds, if not thousands of dollars lost a year. What I think is more important about Cash App and Venmo to understand is they are not insured by a major insurance agency like the FDIC or NCUA, which means that when you store your money in those services, if those services crash, you could potentially lose all of your money and not have any recourse to get it back. That would never happen with a typical bank account from a brick and mortar bank like Santander or Eastern Bank. So it's very important to know that risk when you're using those types of services. Okay, we're almost to the end. This is a crazy graph, but this is also available on our website too. This has a big list of all of the accounts in our region that meet these strenuous requirements. So all of these accounts are going to be either completely free to use or have really low fees associated with them. As you can see, these are some of the biggest banks in our region, so you definitely don't have to go too far out of your way to access one of these accounts. And if you listen to what I said today and you're thinking, man, I bank with one of these banks, but I'm still getting charged fees, all you have to do is go into your bank and ask to switch to the free or low fee option that is listed on our website. So speaking of our website, here is a QR code that links directly to our big list of free or low fee bank accounts, as well as my desk phone number and an email. Just in case you have any questions, feel free to email bankonboston@boston.gov, and I will help connect you with whatever banking services you need. So thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions now, and I'm also happy to take any emails from you later on. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Rachel. This is Andrea again with the Disabilities Commission. If you do have a question, feel free to use the Zoom raise hand function or put it in the chat, and I can give you the permission to unmute if you have questions. But Thank you so much, Rachel, for that presentation. I know there's so much work that goes on over at the Center for Working Families, and I hear great stories from folks who are walk-ins or roll-ins and drop-bys, and as well as those who schedule to come. So we're really excited to hear about all those resources.
And thanks, Andrea. Yeah, please come see us in Roxbury. We'd love to help you out.
Amazing. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any raised hand functions on Zoom or in the chat. So thank you so much again. As always, email Rachel, email myself if you do think of questions, or if you're watching this online later and you have a question, email us and we're happy to answer it. Thanks, Rachel. And with that, I will turn it over to our next presenter, Adam. Take it away to talk to us a bit about your resources.
My pleasure. Again, my name is Adam Hartwell. I'm Director of Attainable Outreach for MEFA. The QR code here does work. If you find that you have questions after this event that you'd like to reach out, that's all my contact information. Additionally, we're going to be sort of flying through a lot of information in the course of the next half hour. So that's the reason that we discussed perhaps having most of the questions be geared towards the end. Hopefully, I'll answer your question in the course of the presentation. But if you do have a question, put it in the chat, and I promise I'll get to it. I'm happy to stay a little late and make sure that all questions get answered. That being said, all right. So I'm here to talk about largely Attainable, which is the Able Savings Plan of Massachusetts. So I work for MEFA, which is a state authority created by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in 1982. The major goal of MEFA is to help families plan, save, and pay for college. In 2014, the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience, or ABLE Act, was passed, and it amended the federal tax code to add Section 529A. This legislation established what are frequently called ABLE accounts, which are tax-exempt investment accounts for eligible individuals with disabilities to be used for what are called qualified disability expenses. I will go into detail on what those are. These do allow you to still keep eligibility for federal public benefits. That is not just SSI or SSDI, but also things like federal housing waivers. It also doesn't count towards your FAFSA. It doesn't count towards SNAP benefits or anything along those lines. There are currently 49 active ABLE programs in the United States of America. In Massachusetts, the ABLE Act accounts are called the Attainable Savings Accounts. The Attainable Savings Plan was launched in 2017. MEFA is the state sponsor, and Fidelity Investments is the program manager. They're the ones who make sure that the money does what it's supposed to do. Eligibility for an attainable account. You're eligible if you have the onset of your disability occurred before you turn 26 years old. We have passed the Able Age Adjustment Act. So as of January 1 of 2026, so a year and 2 months from now, that will actually go up to age 46. This is regardless of current age. So if you had onset of your disability before 26 and you're 90 now, you are currently eligible for a ABLE account. At the moment, if you are 30 years old and you had onset of your disability when you were 28, you can't open an account until after January 1 of 2026. The criteria for having an ABLE account is you either need to be eligible to receive SSI or SSDI due to disability, or you need to self-certify as meeting functional requirements. The easiest one being being able to hold down a full-time job, but you essentially need to have limitations to your day-to-day abilities, such as those in the Social Security Administration's Blue Book. That is a wide range of conditions. It is not just developmental disability or physical disability. It's also respiratory, cardiovascular, long-term cancer recovery, skin disorders, mental health challenges. Anything along those lines would, in fact, qualify you to be able to open an ABLE account. Attainable accounts allow the account owner to save above the $2,000 SSI asset limit without affecting their federal benefits. Additionally, family and friends can contribute to your attainable account. If you have people in your life who'd like to be able to give you some money, but have also been worried about your asset or income limits. Your beneficiaries have immediate access to funds. There is a small asterisk on that statement because these are investment accounts. When you withdraw money, you're actually doing a small scale investment trade. So it can take 24 hours to 48 hours, sometimes even, very rarely that long, for it to clear and be able to go to another account for you to spend. They do provide individuals with both financial independence and several tax benefits. Now, qualified disability expenses, as defined by the IRS, include all expenses having to do with education, housing, and the next slide that I have actually goes into detail about housing because we received clarification on exactly what that entails a couple of years ago. Employment training and supports, assistive technology and related services. That includes buying applications. So if you already have an iPad, but you need an augmentative communication application, which can cost several $100s, you could buy that with your Attainable account. Health prevention and wellness, funeral and burial expenses, because you are allowed to use an Attainable account even after you pass for anything that would qualify. Basic living expenses, including food, which was a direct clarification that we were able to receive. So anything food is a qualified disability expense, whether that's McDonald's, fine dining, groceries, whatever, wherever you get your food from, food is a qualified disability expense. And also personal support services, which is not just one-on-one skill instruction, but also things like financial management or legal fees or expenses for ABLE account monitoring. So the housing expenses that you can utilize your ABLE account include mortgage and house down payment, including any property insurance that is required by the mortgage holder, your rent, including your first and last or security deposit in order to rent an apartment, real property taxes. Real property taxes are taxes on things that stay on the property when you leave. So things like a building, a barn, the land itself, as opposed to personal property taxes, which is the stuff you take with you. Anything heating, fuel, gas, electricity, utilities, water and sewer, garbage removal, all of those things you're allowed to use your Attainable account to pay for. As to who can open an account, no matter who opens the account, the individual with the disability is the account owner. But the accounts can be opened by that individual themselves, the person with their power of attorney, their legal guardian, their spouse, their parent, their sibling, their grandparent, or the rep payee. This is a hierarchy. So if the sibling is opening the account, when they fill out the thing saying, I'm the person who's doing it, they're stating on a legal document that nobody higher than them on the list wanted that responsibility. So if that individual didn't want their sibling to have that responsibility, they are committing a version of fraud. So that there is protections there. You need to prove a legal relationship to the individual if you have something like a power of attorney or a guardian. If you have a familial relationship, then that fraud protects you. But if you're creating an account as a parent or grandparent, you don't actually need to submit paperwork proving that relationship to the individual. But the individual is always the owner of the account. Whoever opens the account is often considered what is called a person with signature authority. They're the person who has the ability to withdraw or deposit, unless they give additional access through further things they can do down the line to other individuals. These accounts have grown in their ability to be deposited into almost every year they've existed. Contribution limits have increased again in 2024. So currently, total annual contribution cannot exceed $18,000 if you are not working. If you are working, you're allowed to additionally contribute whatever the current poverty guideline is, which currently is $14,580. So that's in addition. So if you are working and you're making $16,000 a year, you are allowed to contribute $32,580 into the account every year. If you make less than the $14,580, you can only do how much you made in employment income on top of that. So if I only made $10,000 per year at my job, I can add 10 to the 18, and I'm allowed to put $28,000 per year into the account. The account balance cannot go over $500,000, and when you do not have an ABLE account, your SSI starts being affected when you have $2,000 in assets. In an ABLE account, your SSI is not affected until you have $100,000 in the account. You cannot have an Attainable account and a currently being contributed to retirement account from your employer at the same time. There is actual legislation going forward right now where there is hope that people would be able to contribute to an Attainable account instead of a retirement account as an employer if that was a choice that someone wanted them to make. There is no annual account maintenance fee here in Massachusetts. There are ABLE accounts in other states where there are account maintenance fees. There is an investment fee which are based on what portfolio you select, which tend to range between 0.2 and 0.86% of your investments, again, depending on what portfolio you select. One of the big questions I get when I'm doing a lot of community work talking about these programs is people know how to set up the account, but they're not sure how to get money back out. In order to remove money from your ABLE account, you're just going to transfer it from that investment account to any bank account you want. It can be with any company, Citizens Bank, Bank of America, whatever you want to do, your local credit union. One of the things that I found makes life a lot easier for individuals is they essentially open a bank account with Fidelity using a Fidelity cash management account. That's an account that is specifically set up to be able to have money transferred from investment accounts. And if you do that, then you can just use the Fidelity app and be able to move money back and forth. It makes things very simple for individuals who choose to go that direction. Again, no pressure, but I do like to give people knowledge of the options. Those cash management accounts do come with a Visa logo debit card, so you can transfer and then be able to swipe it or pay for things online. But again, you can transfer them to any place you'd like to. Once funds leave your Attainable account, if you redeposit them, they count again towards that annual contribution limit. So theoretically, I could put $1 into my Attainable account, take it out, put it in, take it out, do that 18,000 times and use up my entire contribution limit with a single dollar. So make sure that you're really careful about how you're utilizing your funds. Due to certain restrictions that on a federal level, any funds that are withdrawn for housing have to be used in the same calendar month that they're withdrawn. So if you shouldn't take money out on the 30th to pay your rent on the 1st, you should take money out on the 28th to pay it on the 30th. Again, so I did mention this earlier, but as they are an investment trade, you should make sure you give yourself at least 24 hours for the money to transfer over before you need to spend it. Again, this is in response to a question I got a couple times. If you had money put aside in bonds, you do need to cash those out and then take the cash and put it into the ABLE account. You cannot roll them directly over. In order to open an account, it's pretty simple. You go to fidelity.com/able. We highly recommend you read and review their Fidelity Attainable Savings Account disclosure document. They essentially have a full page written about everything I say a sentence about in this presentation. So it gives you all the minutiae and details. I also generally recommend you look at the portfolio options in advance before you start trying to set up the account, because it often tends to be a stopping point because there are 9 separate portfolio options and you select between them when you set up the account. If you are a rep payee, there is guidance from the Social Security Administration that requires that you must title the ABLE account to show that the payee has a fiduciary interest in the funds, that the beneficiary owns the funds but has no access to them. They recommend that you title it beneficiary's name by payee's name, representative payee, or payee's name, I'm representative payee for beneficiary's name. One of the great things that Fidelity has done is that they have set up a special group of people who are very much trained on these specific accounts. If you could Google Fidelity and you just try to call the number that comes up, it's a very large brokerage firm. A lot of people are not familiar with Attainable. What you're going to want to do is, but if you go to fidelity.com/able, the phone number that is on that website is also the phone number on the corner of the screen here, 844-458-2253, or under TTY 800-544-0118. Those numbers go directly to our Attainable trained team. They can help answer questions. If you're having problems with your account, they can answer them. They can also walk you through opening an account. They can tell you any documentation you need. They're set up there to help you out as you need it. Attainable savings can be invested in these professionally managed portfolios. You set up what risk you're interested in. That can range from having it in a money market account with no money in the stock market, very little opportunity for growth, but it'll just sit there and be what it is, all the way up to you can go to 85% in the stock market and be very, very aggressive. The vast majority of folk tend to be in our sort of moderate to balanced area, in the middle of these accounts. These are municipal fund securities. They're subject to the market. So if the stock market goes up and down, it will affect these accounts. Beneficiaries are allowed to change their portfolio twice per calendar year. If you want to make your life even more complicated, you're allowed to divide up your account among these portfolios. So you can say, I want 50% at 40% in the portfolio, in the stocks. I want 30% at 70%, and then I want the rest of it in a money market account. So you can sort of, you don't just have to pick one of these, you can actually split your account between them. And again, you can change how that's all set up twice per calendar year. I highly recommend you make sure that you are very, very considered when you think about how you want to set up your account, as once again, it's going to reflect the volatility of the market. Attainable accounts are eligible for direct deposit, including SSI or SSDI benefit funds. Direct deposit of a paycheck has to stay under the initial $18,000. So if you want to add that other additional $14,580, you have to cash your paycheck and then put that in manually. Direct depositing into attainable savings account is just like any other account. There's a routing number and an account number. However, it's an investment account. It's got a different number of digits. So if you get to that form from your workplace that says fill out the boxes, it's not going to fit. They can absolutely do it, but you might need to have a conversation with human resources for them to know that they're allowed to. You're allowed to direct deposit your work income into several accounts. So you can put certain amount into savings, certain amount into checking, and you could put like 20% into your attainable account if you wanted to. If you're utilizing SSI or SSDI funds, those can only go into a designated account. They can only go into one place. So if you want, you could pre-authorize a different institution to drop stuff into attainable, but if you don't want all of it to go into attainable, it needs to all go somewhere else, and then you need to put what you want into attainable. As these are investment accounts, they do their best when they're growing. They have a continual upward trend, hopefully. And so what you want to do, if at all possible, is try to put regular contributions. We have it set up with a systematic investment plan, so you can put like $15 a month into it or $45 per quarter, but that's just a suggestion. You can put $1 in, you can put $100 in, whatever you're comfortable doing. There is no lower end or higher end of the account that you can put in. The only caveat to that is if the fund has no money in it and there's no activity on it for 4 months in a row, the account gets closed. And the reason that that is set up that way is because you're only allowed to have one ABLE account in the country. And generally, we have seen that if somebody has put zero money in the account and not done anything with it for over 4 months, they've forgotten it exists. They go to try and open another one, and it creates problems with the IRS for that individual. So we've set that up as sort of a protection in that one very specific instance. There are very few times when this is subject to taxation. The big one is if you make a withdrawal for a non-qualified disability expense. So, I really decided that I needed an Xbox. You might get charged a 10% fee. There also, if you spend if you invested in the account and it grew, an extra $10,000, and you spent money that was part of the money that grew, which is income tax free, they're going to try to get that income tax back from you because you didn't use it for the qualified expenses. They will not have that fee if it's made after the death of the individual or if you're paying back the government for giving you too much money. Do the ABLE Financial Planning Act, provided the beneficiary is the same on both accounts or their family member, you're allowed to transfer funds from a 529 college savings plan into an attainable account without incurring any tax or penalties. That program is currently due to end on January 1 of 2026, but there is also legislation hoping to make that permanently extended. So, but I'm going to say, if you can, I would do the rollover early because we don't know it's going to be extended. That is still subject to those yearly contribution guidelines. So you can only do $18,000 if you're not working per year in that rollover. There's also a savers credit. ABLE account owners who meet criteria can receive a savers credit on their taxes for contributions into an ABLE account. They need to be 18 years or older. They need to be not a full-time student. They need to be not claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. And additionally, as long as all withdrawals are spent on qualified disability expenses, attainable account growth is federal income tax free. So, my quick math example of this, if you put $100 a month into the account for 20 years, that's going to be $24,000 if you stuck it under your mattress. But if it had, say, about a 6% growth, which, that's something that we've seen historically, but I'm not going to guarantee would happen in the future, that would actually be about $42,000 in the account in the same amount of time. So, especially if you have someone younger or someone who's trying to plan for more longer term expenses, this can be a way that someone can save a significant amount of money over time. The beneficiary or PSA can assign a successor beneficiary in the event of their death who will receive the account balance in their own attainable account after all account actions have been completed. The beneficiary can also assign someone to just receive the funds as part of their estate in event of their death who will receive the account balance after all actions have been completed. The funds will need to be removed if that happens because that individual will not be a qualified attainable account holder. What happens if someone passes is the account is essentially frozen for 12 months, with the exception of anything that is an outstanding qualified disability expense. So that includes, remember, all medical bills. So if the person was in a hospital for a long time, you can pay all of those out of that person's attainable account. Their funeral and burial expenses can all be paid out of their attainable account. And any outstanding housing or things that were being paid for while that person was ill can be paid out of their attainable account. There is also an option for Medicaid to attempt to recapture any amount of money that they had given to that individual during that time. This is then that's the scary sentence in this presentation that often worries a lot of people. I can say, unfortunately, I do not have a lot of data on how aggressive Medicaid is going to be because this is still a relatively new program. So far, they have not really been exercising this provision very much. And in particularly not on accounts that have less than like $25,000 in it, we really haven't seen it happening. Now that could change dramatically in the future, but at the moment, it is largely not an issue that has come up for most of the individuals. But again, that can change, and I don't want to pretend that it can't. But if we think about how much money tends to have people have free floating around in their for their needs, and the fact that you're going to be able to pay off all of your outstanding debts that align with qualified disability expenses prior to that happening, there's not a lot of danger in a significant amount of your money going somewhere else. We have a new program that's available, which is through the Gift of College program with giftofcollege.com. You can actually go and get denomination cards from CVS stores. They're going to say MEFA U Fund. The U Fund is our 529 account, but our 529 stuff also works for our 529A. So you can actually take gift cards out from your CVS and be able to give it to someone to put into their attainable account. If you're out of state or you don't have a CVS local that has that also works on giftofcollege.com. They have a whole sub page that explains how you can give directly to your ABLE account utilizing their program if you'd like to be able to contribute to someone else's attainable account to use for things like because your education. You can use this for your college expenses. You can use this for your books. You can use this for your lab fees. You can use this for your notebooks, anything that you're having in your education stuff. You can use it for anything in your household. So this can be a way that family can contribute to each other easily, particularly now that we're coming up towards the holidays. If you'd like additional resources, mefa.org/attainable has a nice guy who looks alarmingly like me doing a lot of educational content about this program. We also try to keep everyone updated about any things that are coming from the government or things that are coming from other sources that may affect how this program operates. There is also the ABLE National Resource Center, which is a fantastic organization for ABLE information. Fidelity distributes information themselves. Also, the Social Security Administration is absolutely our friend about these programs. Some people think that we should be adversaries, but this program means that the Social Security Administration doesn't have to chase anyone down for a spend down because we make the spend downs not be necessary anymore. We also have an email sign up that I encourage people to sign up for because that will allow us to let you know about anything that we hear about as far as changes to the program or updates as they happen. You can also reach out to us at 800-449-MEFA if you'd like to give us a call, and attainable@mefa.org. That is an email address that goes to me, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions that you might have if you think of something later. All that being said, if there are questions now that I've sort of inundated you with a massive amount of information very quickly, I'd be happy to answer as many as I can.
Thank you so much, Adam. This is Andrea again from the Disabilities Commission. And yes, lots of information, but incredibly important information. It's such a great tool that I know when I talk to people about it, you know, had not heard of it and didn't realize they could have savings in excess of $2,000. It's a complicated tool, but one that provides some savings there. So I'm not seeing a hand raise function or comments in the chat, but with contact information from me and you, certainly there are questions that can be asked later on, but I'll give our attendees a few more minutes if they want to use the raise hand function or throw a question in the chat. Okay, not seeing any. Great. Well, we have our contact information, your contact information. If folks have questions, absolutely please. Oh, question too fast to take notes. We can definitely send the information out after the fact. We can send you the slide deck. The slide deck is certainly public, so I'm happy to email that to you, Lynn. And if you want to reach out to Adam for Adam, do you do one-on-one or is it someone else that does?
I do anything that needs to be done. I'm happy to talk to people one-on-one. I'm happy to talk to local groups. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can and facilitate things to the best of my ability. I do appreciate that I had to go fairly quick and know that there was a lot of information there. That's one of the reasons that we are going to make sure that the slide deck is available so you can have everything I said will be able to be available. I know that also Andrew's planning on having this uploaded to YouTube. So, you know, people can pause things and look at things as well. So we'll try and make sure that the information remains available. We also keep almost all of this information is available on MEFA.org on our attainable website subpage. That makes sure that we keep this information as freely available as we can manage.
Amazing. I'm glad that you have all that information online. And yes, we'll have it on YouTube. We'll send the slides out to everyone who registered for the webinar as well. You can contact us at disability@boston.gov. If you're watching this online later and would like a copy of the slides, we can email them to you. They'll be part of our newsletter as well that we send out once a week. So great question, Lynn. Yeah, sorry that it was fast, but we will definitely provide it in whatever format works for you. Not seeing any other questions. So with that, I will just say thank you once again to Rachel, to Adam, to all of you for coming. There's so many resources out there that we want to make sure folks know about and know that they have them and know where to follow up for more information. So thank you so much for coming, for being a part of this webinar. Once again, that's our second of 4. There are 2 more Wednesday webinars that we'll be providing next Wednesday at 5:30 on the following Wednesday at 5. So those are on housing and on workers' rights. So again, if you have any questions at all, let me know at disability@boston.gov and we will get you answers to your questions.